All right, good evening. How is everybody doing? It's Monday. Yeah. Getting ready. Tonight, Mrs. Smith is here. Yeah. So looking forward to tonight's show. Been setting this up for a while now. And so Mrs. Smith is here. Get ready for that. I've only got a few minutes, and I feel a sneeze. Oh no. Don't you hate that? Sneeze coming on feeling. Okay, so tonight, Mrs. Smith. Tomorrow night, Emery Smith, no relation. Wednesday night, Steve Bassett is going to be here. We're going to do an evening of disclosure, so that will be, and Dr. Lisa, so they will be here on Wednesday night. Thursday is another Fader night and open lines. Now, I've only got a couple of seconds left here. Enjoy the show. It's Mrs. Smith. We've all been through a traumatic weekend, right? Let's go.
Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well. Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. We got here 5 days off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are back. Today is Monday, July 9th. 2018. 190 days into the new year, just 175 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south. Far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? I'm in a great mood. Nothing like, well, I don't even know. I don't even know what it's like. 5 days off. We haven't done that in 5 years. Yeah, we relaxed. We had fun. We hung out with friends and family, and we cooked out. We did all of those things. We got everything done. We got everything done. We had a great time this weekend, and I hope you did too. I hope you had a great, safe, happy 4th of July, and we've got an amazing week lined up here on the show, starting with tonight, because tonight we have very special guest. Mrs. Smith is here. Guitar goddess. She's here. We are going to talk guitars. We're going to talk spirituality. We're going to talk UFOs. And of course, we're going to talk about her cat, some fashion. Let's do that. Some shoes, Bohemian Grove, right? We're going to do all of that. And want to talk about the Upper East Side, too, as well. We're going to do all of that tonight. I'm introducing to you and the world tonight Mrs. Smith. She is here. Tomorrow night, no relation, Emery Smith is here. I'm going to ask him if he knows Mrs. Smith. And he's here to talk time travel tomorrow night and portals and technology in the military-industrial complex. Nothing like a time travel discussion with Mr. Emery Smith. But tonight, it's Mrs. Smith. Wednesday night, it's Stephen Bassett. Somebody just tweeted, I just saw that. Somebody suggested Stephen should change his name to Smith for Wednesday night so we can have Stephen Smith here. And Dr. Lisa Galarnow will be here, and we're discussing the disclosure movement, and that is going to be an amazing animated discussion. So you're not going to want to miss that. That's Wednesday. Thursday is another Fader night. Open lines. That's right, all night long. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. And a couple of things. Let's see. Let's get some stuff out of the way. OnStellar, OnStellar.com. I posted up today, did a couple of articles today for OnStellar, and you can go and check them out. I posted a thing on the Nazca mummies. So that's up. I posted the links here over in Twitter, and it's over on Facebook too as well. So you can go and read that. And what else did I do over at OnStellar? I can't remember what I did. I did a couple of things. Let's see. Let me jump over. I never do this live on the air, right? Oh, I guess I did Emery Smith. Okay, so that's what I did today. And let's see here. Okay, that's it. I hate clicking the mouse live on the air. I never do that. It is unprofessional. I'll never do it again. Go to OnStellar.com. Send me a friend request. No censorship. Nothing goes on there. There's no data mining. There's no advertising. It's nothing but you making friends, sharing knowledge. It's a social media platform designed for the future. It's absolutely amazing, and it's great. So go and check it out, OnStellar.com. And when you go and register, just use my name. Drop my name, referral code Jimmy. And there you go. Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'm still over on Facebook. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but I'm still over there for now. I locked out. I maxed out probably 3 years ago, the 5,000 friends limit, right? So and then everybody started leaving Facebook. It's really weird, all of the deleted accounts there. But I'm not adding friends anymore, so you can send me a friend request, but I feel like I'm cheating if I bring in somebody over on Facebook and then turn around and abandon you, and I'm not going to do that. Just come and hang out at OnStellar. That's the place to be. Okay, now, if you want to hang out in the sandbox tonight, on Twitter, that is hashtag F2B. As you know, there's going to probably be 2 or 3, maybe 4,000 tweets tonight in TweetDeck in Twitter. So come and hang out with us. Join the conversation. It is really great. So do that, right? At JChurch Radio. You can also email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. All right. I know that everybody here is waiting for a statement from me. I realize that. I know what everybody has gone through in this community since Friday, and of course I'm referring to the David Wilcock leaked email that was written to Gaia and his resignation letter, and then it got leaked online. I'm going to say this in a very general sense, and that is it. This is a private matter between David and Gaia. Okay? This community had no business reading that email. It's not good for anybody. And that is it. I don't have a comment. I really, honestly, don't even have an opinion. Okay? And that's as far as it goes. And that's really it. And I think the community should take the same position. This is between an individual and a company, a very big name and a talent, and also a network that is one of the biggest out there. And these are issues between the two of them. That's really it. It's just painful to watch the community go through this and have to read something like that. And that's my opinion. So I'm asking everybody, just take a deep breath. It'll all get worked out. We'll figure out a way forward. There's always bumps in the road. Life is full of bumps, and this community goes through them all the time. Last week, putting that aside, last week we had Bell Gab shut down. And if you didn't know that, Bell Gab, a very popular website, just up and closed its doors on Wednesday, just shut down. And then on Thursday, there was the fake Nazca mummy articles that were posted all over the web. And so the community had to go through that. And we made it somehow through the weekend, and we're here on Monday, and that's where I'm at. Okay, all right. I got some breaking news. Right now, today, River Moon Coffee is offering a 20% discount on everything that they have. Right? It's called Take a Coffee Break. Take a break. Take a coffee break. Go and shop River Moon Coffee right now. The promo code, simple, Coffee Break. Coffee Break. That's all you got to do. Go and head over. That includes, you can get our coffee, the Fade to Black blend, right there with a 20% discount. And go and check out all of the offerings from River Moon Coffee. I am going to retweet this right now. I just said I won't do this anymore online, but here I am while I'm on the air. But here I am doing it. So let me retweet this out. And I lost it. It was here. It was here. I swear the tweet was, I was just looking at the tweet. And it has disappeared from in front of me. What do? Do I do Dennis's tweet again? Do I save myself right now from the embarrassment of searching for this? I don't even see it. Okay. All right. River Moon, tweet that out again for me, would you please? And I'll retweet it and get this thing flying. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Got it. Boom. Done. There it is. Coffee Break. All right. Now, also, earlier today, 4 more of the soccer-playing boys over in Thailand were rescued, right? Second day of rescue operations at that cave site. It's in northern Thailand. And it is a flooded cave system. 4 more were brought out earlier today. 8 boys have now been freed, while 4 remain inside the flooded Tam Luang Nang Nan cave complex with their coach. So there's 5 remaining. They face their 17th night trapped on a ledge 2.5 miles down inside this cave system. 2.5 miles. You can't even walk 2.5 miles. Think about how far that is inside this cave system. Well, hopefully this will all end by this time tomorrow. And I don't know if it's happened yet. Let's see here. Trump nominates Brett Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court. That just went down a few minutes ago. I was waiting for that to break. Brett Kavanaugh is your Supreme Court nominee. All right, so that's what I've got going on for now. Now, a couple of things. I do want to announce that this August 17th through the 19th, I'll be at Dimensions of Disclosure in Loveland, Colorado, with Corey Good, David Wilcock, Emery Smith, Teresa Yanaris, Gerald O'Donnell, Jordan Sather, and 20 other speakers and presenters. I will be hosting on Sunday night. I cannot wait for that. DimensionsofDisclosure.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have over 880 archive shows, custom apps, Apple, Android, all platforms, just $2 per month. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and click on that podcast banner. Very simple. You can also become a Fadernaut. You can get those really cool T-shirts and autographed hats if you want. You can do that. Everything that you know and love is right there. Become a Fade or Not in our membership section of the site, where you will get the bunker cam. Hello to everybody up there. How do I look today? Do I look tanned? I should look tanned. I don't know if you guys know this, but we had 5 straight days of 115 degrees here in Burbank. Unbelievably hot. So I was outside barbecuing, totally tanned. My feet, though, I've got, because I wear thongs, right? Tongs. What do they call tongs? Did I say thongs? Tongs. And I've got lines on my feet now. So my feet got tanned. All right. Don't forget all of our sponsors here. Okay. Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, and, of course, Numana Food Storage and Bearing Optics. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Today, Jack White is 43. Jack White, only 43 years old. Got his record label, lives in Memphis. Got the band playing in arenas. Got the chops, can play guitar. Yeah, Jack White. Absolutely amazing talent. Today is 43 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is Bon Scott. 1946 to 1980. Died tragically young at the age of 33. Lead vocalist and lyricist, of course, of AC/DC from 1974 until his death in 1980. That's it. 6 years. That's it. Sometime during the late in the evening of the 18th of February, early in the morning of the 19th of February, 1980, Scott passed out and died. He had just visited a London club that was called the Music Machine and went out to go sleep in a friend's car, and that's it. That's all we know. He was found the next day. And now I'm gonna defer this over to Twitter, because I was going through my favorite AC/DC albums, and I don't know where to go with this. High Voltage, TNT, Dirty Deeds, right? Let There Be Rock, Power Age, Highway to Hell. Man, how about Let There Be Blood, the live album? That is an amazing album. So I don't know where to go. So help me out, Fade or Nots, right there in Twitter. What's the greatest AC/DC album? Don't say Back in Black. Just don't. For those about to rock, don't go there. There's nothing wrong with Back in Black. I graduated high school that year, 1981. All right? I don't have issues with Back in Black. But I'm talking about Bon Scott, because those albums were amazing. So think about that. What was the greatest? I'm going to go with, man, I hate to influence everybody here. I'm going to go with Dirty Deeds. I'm going to go with Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. As good as Highway to Hell is, I'm going with Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. All right, on this day in history, 1941, Enigma. That's right. The Enigma key is broken by British cryptologists, which was the secret code used by the German army to direct ground-air operations on the Eastern Front. Happened on this day in 1941. Fade or fact? Okay, here we go, because I got some other stuff we got to talk about. Fade or fact? The Himalayan honeybee. The Himalayan honeybee, the largest of all honeybees in the world, makes a hallucinogenic honey that the local tribes up there in the Himalayas collect. That's right. And the bees like it too. There you go. Here's your Fade or fact. All right, I'm going to hit this coffee. Mrs. Smith is here tonight. Very excited. Going to be here in a few minutes. And we all know how much I love my heavy metal guitar, my rock and roll guitar. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. We're going to talk about spirituality and her life and what is it like to be a guitar goddess, a true shredder. Seriously. All right. So we're gonna talk to Mrs. Smith, and we're gonna find the map to Shredville. That's right. I want to know. We're gonna go tonight. But my other favorite things that I like to talk about: ancient Egypt, right? Love it. Time travel, love it. Ghosts, love it. Right? I love all of that stuff. But my heart lies with ancient Egypt. UFOs, I get it, I do. But today, it was announced that a mysterious ancient black granite sarcophagus has been discovered in Egypt. The tomb, which dates back to the Ptolemaic period between 305 BC and 30 BC, was uncovered in the city of Alexandria. The 6 foot high, I'm 6 foot tall. The 6 foot high sarcophagus is 8.5 feet long, 5.5 feet wide, and it's the largest ever found in Alexandria. Now, I have been to the Metropolitan Museum in Manhattan, right next to the park, and Central Park, and they have many sarcophagi there. And when you see something that big, a 6 foot tall granite box, think about that. That's 6 foot wide and 10 feet long. They're, tons and tons. Well, they just found one. But this one was covered with a layer of mortar, which was between the top of the earth and the lid, right? Which indicates that it has not been open since it was closed more than 2,000 years ago. Now, this is a crazy discovery. And just before you think, it's all been found in Egypt, not so fast, little ones. No. Sit down, kiddies. Let's just listen to your Uncle Jimmy here for a second. Okay? That's not the latest news. It's been crazy in Egypt over the last couple months. Ancient Egypt continues to be the gift that keeps on giving. Archaeologists recently unearthed a 2,200-year-old gold coin depicting the ancient king Ptolemy III. Bet you didn't know about that, did you? Just happened. Experts in southern Egypt recently discovered an extremely rare marble head depicting the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. You didn't hear about that either. That's why you come to Fade to Black. Oh, I'm not done. Additionally, experts in Australia found the tattered remains of an ancient priestess in a 2,500-year-old Egyptian coffin that was thought to be empty. I've got experts all over the world right now sending me information because I've got, on the other side of the world, a rare ancient artifact depicting the famous female pharaoh Hatshepsut surfaced in the UK. I didn't even know there was a Hatshepsut coin, but they found one. New research also claims that King Tut may have actually been a boy soldier, challenging that theory, that dogma, that he was weak and sickly, right, before his mysterious death at the 18 years, right? Also, experts in the UK have found the world's oldest figurative tattoos on 2 ancient Egyptian mummies recently. Tattoos. One of which is the oldest tattooed female ever discovered. Other recent finds include an ancient cemetery in Egypt with more than 40 mummies in it and a necklace containing a message. Are you ready? The necklace says, "A message from the afterlife." Yeah. An ancient statue of a Nubian king was recently discovered with an inscription written in Egyptian hieroglyphics, Nubian, and was also found at a Nile River temple in Sudan. Scientists also believe that they have found the secret of the Great Pyramid's near perfect alignment. I'm not going to give that away right now. More on this on a later show. Experts are also confident that they have finally solved the long-standing mystery of the screaming mummy. I'm telling you, Egypt is it's giving it up right now. I've got more stuff to talk about than I can handle. This past February, archaeologists announced the discovery of a 4,400-year-old tomb near the pyramids. They thought it was all found. 4,400 years old. Now, with that, I love my River Moon coffee. Late last year, December, archaeologists also revealed that they had uncovered the graves of 4 children at another ancient site in Egypt. Those photographs are absolutely incredible. And finally, we await what is in the new chamber that was recently discovered above the Grand Gallery in the Great Pyramid. These are exciting times indeed. Now, we've got the new museum that's opening up in Cairo at Giza, and it's incredible. $1 billion they've spent on this. There are rumors, and I've talked about this before. The rumors are continuing that they did indeed find stuff inside of this new chamber above the Grand Gallery, that they spirited it off, closed off the Great Pyramid, got everything out, and it will be on display over at the new Cairo Museum that's opening up in just a couple of months. Now, one thing that I do want to do, man, I wish John Anthony West was still on this earth. But one thing that I do want to do, and I want to try to pull this off next year, we've got a couple of trips that we're going to be planning overseas next year, and one will be going to Armenia, and I also want to go to Egypt. And not only do I want to see the new museum, and it's going to be extraordinary, it's going to be great. There's so much stuff. In the old Cairo Museum, all the good stuff was in the basement, right? The good stuff. They had stuff down there that they have completely forgotten about and didn't know they had. Everything is going to be over in the new Cairo Museum. And this new gallery above, this new chamber above the Grand Gallery. And by the time we get there next year, all is going to be revealed. I have no idea what is going to happen in the months ahead when it comes to Egypt. But there are things that are happening right now at a very rapid clip. Emery Smith is going to be here tomorrow night. And one of the things that I said in my article over at Alan Stellar today is very simple. Pat Breeze just said dirty deeds. It's like a time delay. One of the things that I had said in the article, and it's a very simple one, over the last, I'm just going to go back 2 months. I don't want to go back further than that because it starts to get pretty dizzying. There has been a lot of information that has broken in the paranormal and supernatural community that is us. And I am talking about science and parallel worlds and exoplanets and bacteria in the universe on the space station and life on Europa and it's just all of that happening all at the same time. And this multiverse, parallel worlds, Dyson sphere thing that we are going through, it's almost too much. It's too much information. And you combine that with everything else that is going down. The Atacama mummy, right? The Nazca mummies. It's just coming at us from all directions. Something is about to break. I can feel it. So let's just enjoy it as a community. Let's just do what we do best. Let's just keep our heads together. Let's keep listening. Let's collect the knowledge. Let's get together here every single night on Fade to Black and when I'm over hosting Coast to Coast AM. And that's it. Let's just do what we do. This community has got it all going for them right now. I had said this at the last conference I was at, whatever I was doing last month. And I had said then, we have all of the reasons to hold our heads high. Let's not go, ha, I told you so. We don't need to do that, right? Right now, we are the sane ones. It's everybody else that is crazy. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, it is Mrs. Smith. We're going to do it all. Tonight, we're going to talk guitars. We're going to talk music. We're going to talk UFOs, spirituality, disclosure. We're going to do everything. Bohemian Grove, shoes, and her cat. All of that and much more coming up next. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back after this commercial break with our guest, Mrs. Smith. Stay with me.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
What can I say about the most popular tea on the internet? And what do customers say about Life Change Tea at getthetea.com? A lot. But by federal law, we at getthetea.com cannot make claims to how this product can enhance your health. We cannot even post our testimonies without being in compliance. So how do we get past the hump? Try our products at getthetea.com and see for yourself. You can send us a testimony, but we just can't post it. Bummer. Our products are GMO-free and organic. We pride ourselves in being the best we can be, and we urge you to take charge of your health. We're 11 years strong, and many of our customers have shared their successes with friends and family. Protect your colon. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. Getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Matthew. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. It's Monday. I'm in a great mood. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Simple. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Life Change Tea. Let's go to their banners right now at jimmychurchradio.com. Just click, use that promo code FADER, F-A-D-E-R. Get yourself some free shipping. Go to the specials page. Simple. Tonight, it is Mrs. Smith. Been waiting for this for a while now. Mrs. Smith is a philanthropist, a tone poet, and the world's most unlikely guitar hero. the reigning queen of Shred for Your Life contest. She's also performed at the Guitar Gods Festival in Miami, opening up for two of my favorites, Yngwie Malmsteen and Steve Vai. Mrs. Smith's unique blend of musical performance comedy has been featured on NBC's America's Got Talent, PBS Television, Off-Broadway, as well as, performing at Joe's Pub, Le Poisson Rouge, Williamsburg Music Hall, and The Cutting Room. She's also been seen at 54 Below, First Avenue, Webster Hall, Ars Nova, the Lauren Beachman Theater, Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, the Bell House, Union Hall, and the legendary Bushwig Festival, among many others. Now, tonight, we're going to talk about Mrs. Smith's spiritual journey, her musical influences, her gear, her style, her fashion sense, her ex-husbands, her current husbands, UFOs, dark entities, and of course, her cat. And I would like to welcome, for the first time to Fade to Black, Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith, good evening. How are you?
Jimmy, kitten, how are you doing? It is such a delight to be here with you.
Oh, it is just amazing to hear your voice. And before we get started, you get the first time guest disclaimer. So let's get that out of the way and then let's talk.
Let's do it.
Okay. The disclaimer goes, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. There. See? Easy, right?
Easy. I mean, I think that should be the rule for every conversation. It sounds like it's about civility.
Well, and it's not often. I've had Jennifer Batten on the show. She's great, right? Yeah.
The queen of Shred.
She is the queen of Shred. And
she's the queen.
And she loves her UFOs, by the way. She goes to all the conferences and she's out there. She's had some amazing sightings and stuff. And she's an amazing player and a really cool person. But now I have you on the show. So I'm going to ask you one thing. To be that type of, a guitar goddess, which is, that's a pretty lofty thing, but that's where things are right now for you. Does that come with groupies? Does Mrs. Smith have groupies?
Well, I call them kittens, and they seem to like that name, and because it gives me a feeling of that I'm there to protect them, and I'm there to kind of make sure everybody is getting what they need, and to not just I love to play the music. Let me play my music. Let me play a little for your fans who don't know me. Can you hear that?
Okay.
I love it.
Now, okay. Let's put the groupies aside. Now we got to change gears. I picture you. I've never had the opportunity to ask. I picture you as Upper East Side. Are you Upper East Side? Are you Upper West Side?
Unfortunately, yes, and yes. I mean, among many others. I'm lucky. I've been very fortunate. I was born into wealth that was then lost. But so my family was at one point quite destitute. But it must have been that I picked something up because I did marry wealthy many, many times over. And so I did find myself, entering into these worlds of you could, back in the day, they would call it high society, socialites, things like that.
Right.
And I did find myself kind of on autopilot in those worlds. It wasn't something that I feel I chose because I wanted. It was just what one did when one had to survive. And of course, options were very limited for a girl of my type back then. And so I did what I thought I had to do. And then I turn around at my age and I find myself, living in the Upper East Side, and kind of feeling like, do I really belong here? Is this really what I want? And I said, no, I would actually, in fact, like to smash this.
And okay. So then I'm picturing, because I love the Upper East Side. I love the museums, the culture, just walking the streets. It's one of the best things. When I go to New York, Mrs. Smith, and this is no joke, You get in from JFK, you pull in, and the second your feet hit the sidewalk in the Upper East Side, the electricity just flies up your leg, right? You feel the vibe of what is going on there. But what were you listening to?
Well, I think it's stultifying, but it's very different when one lives here. It's very different when one lives here. To me, I just see fossil people. And of course, it's like being in a small town, okay?
Right.
Because the neighborhood itself is a small town amidst the larger city, and so like a small town, like a Mayberry, like a little farm town, aren't there all those resentments? Aren't there all those entanglements? You said this about her back at that luncheon. Yeah, 1972. You're still on it. They're still on it.
Right.
So you become haunted by your social past and the obligations that you failed to follow through on. And this one, may have had eyes on your husband at one point, and so you hate her, and it becomes very complicated. And then you add, money and status and philanthropy into the mix. And yes, there are museums, but of course, I'm living in a whole other matrix than you are. I wish I could get back to seeing it the way you do.
Well, see, and this is the thing. You've got the gift of music that was inside of you. You're going to charity functions, you're at the restaurants, and that whole lifestyle that is there. What was going on inside of your head, and what were you doing to feed that? Were you secretly playing crazy music at home on, with headphones on? Was this a different thing that nobody knew about?
Nobody knew. And it was a holdover from in the 90s. I was married to a marshmallow magnate, and he was one of these guys that was always in the tabloids, always touting how much money he had. He was braggadocio.
Right.
And he was nouveau riche, and that's how they often are. People who come from long lines of money, they don't really want to be in the newspaper. They want to be behind the scenes. That's how it used to be. But now everyone is just grotesque about the conspicuous consumption. It's grotesque. Mm-hmm. But he was very, very braggadocio about all his acquisitions, and he was doing very well. Marshmallows had a new moment, and he had created a super sour marshmallow that would sort of change color in your mouth and create this dye. It was a horrific candy. But it took off, especially in Japan. And so he made a lot of money. And he really shot himself in the foot with that. It's like that whole thing, like when you have to pay for something with cash. I don't know if your parents ever said, like, don't flash your money around in front of the cashier. Like, you don't need to take out, all the 20s. Just don't let people see, that you got cash. Be discreet. He wasn't discreet. I paid the price. I was kidnapped and held for ransom by a Norwegian death metal band and suffered the Stockholm Syndrome. And if that sounds like a lot of Scandinavia for one anecdote, welcome to my life. What happened was I found myself in a closet in Norway, basically locked up by these death metalers.
Home of death metal.
Who were desperate to fund their album.
Right.
And what was in the closet but a guitar? And it's just a shame that Patty Hearst stole my thunder, because it happened to her in the 70s and I was in the 90s, so people were kind of tired of it. They're like, we've heard this already. And they're like, it doesn't matter, that has a guitar high society lady angle. So I emerged from that closet a guitar hero. Took over the band.
Wait. Hold on. Let's pump the brakes here. That's pretty traumatic.
It's so much.
Did they take you off of the streets in Manhattan and spirit you away to Norway?
They rolled up to the sidewalk, and I was looking down from the window going, what's that black van? Also, interesting question. Why do they have a key to the apartment? And they came in. And now I've been kidnapped 5 times in my life. And when you're wealthy, I've had 14 husbands. They all had money. And so and they were all connected to the power elite. So all the things that, and we're going to get into the Bohemian Grove later, but all the things that you hear about what they do, it's all true. And I had been to all the simulations. I had gone to a kidnapping survival summer camp where you pay quite a lot of money to have, I think he was a former Israeli soldier, basically simulated kidnapping.
I've heard about these places.
And, they're actually a lot of fun, and the food is really great. And you learn some stuff. And so when they came through the door, I was sort of like, okay, this is my 5th time, been there, done that. you just kind of, you have a bag packed. You say, just let me get the bag. They know what you mean. You get into the van. But something was different this time. And what it was is that he wouldn't pay up. Husband wouldn't pay up. He wouldn't pay a dime. He said, I don't have $5 million. And I thought he was just in the New York Daily News saying he had made 20.
Right.
And what was humiliating is everybody knew he had the money. All my friends on the Upper East Side, they knew he had the money and he was abandoning me. And inside of that closet, I embraced a kind of supernatural rage that has never left my body. And it is rage at how all humans will betray you.
You know what's interesting about that? I've heard different types of alchemy ceremonial things that they go through. One of them is to deprive you of light, right? So you're in a room without any light or windows for extended periods of time, and what that does to change your brain and your thought patterns. That explains a lot for Norwegian death metal, by the way. But let's go back to this, what you were going through in this closet. How long were you there?
3 months.
3 months.
And yes, which is, it's not fair because Patty Hearst only lasted 2 months in her closet, and I lasted 3 in mine, and I aligned myself with my captors much earlier than she did. So it's just, again, I'm not going to go off on that, but I have to say this: the time in the closet was transformative. It was very strange to not know what time it was, because the closet was in a basement, so I had no natural light coming through. So I did enter, they say that the brain is on a 25-hour sleep cycle. When they put people in a sleep lab, it was like a sleep lab with a guitar shred instructional tutorial mixed in.
Right.
And the only thing in there with me was the guitar. And so I had nothing else to do but to explore the sound. And I entered into every note, became a universe to me. I would just meditate on F, F, F. I would just play just F.
Oh, man.
Right. For a week.
Oh, that's incredible. And now this is what they say, to master anything, right? The 10,000 hours, you got to go to the mountaintop, and then you come down changed. For you, 3 months in a closet with a guitar, did you go to the mountaintop, so to speak?
Well, I had to, and I don't know if it's 10,000 hours, but what had to happen was I had to survive, because I was abandoned by my husband, and I was left to the mercy of this now a new set of villains. So I'd been abandoned by one set of villains, and now a new set of villains with the death metal painted faces of horror, with those dark voices. And then, of course, through the door I could hear their rehearsing.
Right, that was my next question. So that's got to change things and influence what was going on inside of your head.
And it was something where you could never get angry when I was a girl. I could never, when I was little, and for instance, my daddy tried to teach me some guitar. He was a brilliant guitar player, and I showed some promise as a young person on the instrument. And he started to show me, and then he'd black out and fall down a flight of stairs, because that's what he did. He gambled, he lost money, he blacked out and fell downstairs. And I had formed quite a little bond with this little guitar, learning G, C, and D chords, and I was on my way, and then, he wants to smash it, And back then, you couldn't say, that is making me angry, that is frightening to me. You were not allowed to express. You were not allowed to tell the maniac who is holding the family basically emotionally hostage, this is unacceptable to me. I was not taught to put up boundaries. So there were all these emotions mixed in about all kinds of things. And then being thrust into the world with no instruction manual as a young girl, and all of these things. And so I think that in Norway, that outrage and that rage at feeling abandoned, of feeling stymied, it boiled over, and so it became a super concentrate. And I also knew I've got to join this band and take over this band to survive. And that's what I did. And then ultimately we did tour, and we did quite well. We won the Eurovision contest. And unfortunately they were all killed in a hail of bullets and fire. But I survived.
The band was killed, hail of bullets, after winning Eurovision.
Immediately after we fled, of course, I was in a cape and with the makeup and the crazy hair, and I had branches because I had embraced a figure from Norwegian fairy tale, Freya. I had embraced an alter ego called Freya, and she was quite frightening. The boys were terrified of me. I mean, they thought they were scary. But when I came out of that closet with the guitar, and the Chanel suit was all dirty, and my face was dusty from the dust, and I held the guitar and I plugged in, and they were in the middle of a rehearsal, and they said, "She got out of the closet, how?" And I plugged in and I started to shred on the guitar. Their faces, they turned white underneath the white makeup.
I am, in a way, I feel like almost empathy, right? I feel for what's going on, but you got the gift now, right? So how did you steer away from the Norwegian death metal? Because I've got many Norwegian death metal friends. And I fell into it. Of course, I tried to, I think I was a tempering influence on them. I'd say, like, let's not burn a church. Like, let's write a song about burning a church, because they do that. We'd be out getting some fast food in our costumes after the gig. And then, I'd turn around and one of them will be gone. And I think, whoa, no. And then, across the street, all of a sudden, fire. Okay, he set a church on fire. Please don't do that when we're getting food. Actually, please don't do that at all. But I think also the more I fell in with them, Freya was a very powerful influence. I mean, she terrifies me to this very day. I've split from her. I've split off from her. And a shaman has put her in a kind of a container. So she is contained. And I still have access to her energy. And you will see Freya when I perform. But she is contained, and I pray she never gets out, because she began to exert more control over me in Norway, especially by the time we got to Eurovision, then we won. The ego of that just sort of broke her out completely. And it was when all the bullets were flying and the fire, and I watched it all from the woods, and they were banging on the windows, screaming. And, Freya was laughing. It was very potent time for me, a very potent time. How did you deprogram off of that? Did you start to seek spiritual guidance? Did you consult? Did you talk with friends? And how did you get back to the States?
Well, I worked with Black Lightning was unavailable. A lot of people had worked with Black Lightning.
Right.
Who people know is the creator of cult deprogramming.
Right.
So he deprogrammed a lot of I had a lot of Mooney friends, and they were just, again, wealthy people, bored a lot of times, a lack of purpose. They'd fall in with the Moonies, and then the husband would say, go get Black Lightning. And then the next thing you know, you're making tea, and you're like, they're down there. They're in the basement. She's with Black Lightning. And then they come up and they never quite be normal again, but they'd be better. But Black Lightning had a protege, and his name was just Sam. And so Sam worked with me, and he said it had a kind of he described it as a little bit like The Exorcist, the movie Exorcist. I mean, I don't think I was floating off the ground and things like that, but he said Freya he had to call in backup. He had to call him back up because he felt that he was a little out of his depth.
Yeah,
because he's used to merely psychological techniques. And Freya was exerting a supernatural power over me, and she is a supernatural archetype. And so, I mean, he brought in, I think, a Jungian analyst, a shaman, and somebody who was doing an early form of vortex healing.
Really? Did it work?
Yes.
Did it work?
It worked. It worked. And I came out of it feeling a little bit better. I needed to take a break from the guitar. And I put the guitar away for quite a while. It's interesting to feel like yourself, but also like a little bit that you're about 1 inch inside of yourself looking out.
Right.
That's how I felt for a couple of decades.
Wow. And we're gonna head towards a break here, but I have to ask on behalf of our audience that is listening, what happened when you got back to your husband that wouldn't pay your ransom?
Well, he was gone. He was gone. So I had the apartment, and I just cleaned it all out. I cleaned out all the furniture. I had everything burned. I had it brought out to New Jersey on a barge, and I had it soaked it all in gasoline. This is very expensive to do because I had to get a lot of permits from the city. Everything is a bureaucracy in New York City. And
right.
That's why I went to Jersey. And then, and even then, there's still bureaucracy. So I soaked it all in gasoline. And of course, I had to have fire people there waiting. And they're like, "Do you really have to do this, ma'am?" And I said, "Please, I'm paying." And I set it on fire. And then they brought the barge and they just rowed it out to sea. And that was the end of that. And then I did go back to that apartment and had to buy new furniture.
You know, it's kind of like a Viking funeral.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah. I think if you don't mark major life shifts with a ritual, you are destined to carry it with you. You have to, even if it's just a little ritual. But you've got to shed possessions. You've got to, you've got to know when is the time to make a break with a friendship that maybe has run its course. You've got to mark with rituals. Of course, we're in a very secular scientific time. Carl Jung, I'm a student of his writings, spoke about this dilemma, as well as Nietzsche spoke about this dilemma. What are we to do? The scientific mindset dominates. The results are clear. And yet, what about meaning?
Well, Jung also talked about, finding the door in your brain and walking through that. Were you able to do that after you torched the stuff on the barge?
I was. I think that it's only until recently that I've truly come to terms with this set of experiences. And it's that way that healing from trauma happens in stages. And it's like an onion, a pain onion, an onion of pain. And you peel back layers, and you think, "Oh, I'm over that. I talked about in therapy. I did a whole retreat about that. I did that, I did EST. I mean, didn't I get over all these hang-ups and all this stuff?" And then it resurfaces. And so for me, it resurfaced a few years ago, which led to, one could call it, a relapse to the guitar.
Right.
It led me to seek it out anew. And that is what has put me in my current incarnation.
Well, let's take a break right here, Mrs. Smith, if that's okay. And
yes. Let's
do that. And when we come back, well, we're going to pick up where we left off. But I do want to talk some modern guitar stuff. We'll start with 3 years ago. We're all curious as how this went down for you. It's been an amazing ride over these last 3 years. Our guest tonight, Mrs. Smith. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Mrs. Smith at Mrs. Smith. It's up here in Twitter. It's backwards. It's right there in Twitter. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. And right now, starting tonight, 20% discount on all of their offerings. It's called Take a Break, a coffee break. Just go to shoprivermooncoffee.com collections. Use the promo code Coffee Break. Now, Mrs. Smith, let's, 3 years ago, you pick up the guitar again. I have done the same thing a few times in my life. I've walked away from the guitar, picked it back up, and I listen to certain guitar players to kind of get my head right again, and I'll go into a zone for a few months with a guitar player or two. Did you go through the same thing? Were you listening to anybody?
No.
How does that work? So everything is
the collective unconscious, synchronicity. I mean, there were some cassette tapes in Norway.
Right.
There was a cassette player, but I had no idea of knowing who was being played. There was guitar playing. I recognized guitar playing, but I could not see the names. I could not see the titles. So there were just these sounds. So it may be that there is influence there, but I have no way of knowing who these people are.
Right.
And this is what comes up. And then, of course, I got out of the closet, and I'm having to deal with the Norwegian death metal band. I'm having to manage these boys. I'm having to put them under my spell and make them do my women, survive.
Right.
So there was so much to deal with that I never took a time to say, oh, what's that? Who's that? That's Jimi Hendrix. That's Joe Satriani, that's Steve Vai, that's Edward Van Halen.
Right.
I didn't know. And what happens now is I meet these people and I don't know them.
You don't know who they are. Wow.
I don't know who they are. And I've said this a couple times, and please, people, don't misunderstand me when I say this, but celebrities, please, if I meet you and I don't know who you are, please do not take it personally. Please do not believe I'm snubbing you to be a diva. I truly don't know who you are. And it's harder for me because there's so many of them, but there's only one of me.
What about when you go up to somebody like, Yngwie Malmsteen, who is a tremendous player who I respect a lot, but if you don't know who he is, how does he take it?
Well, you don't go up to someone like Yngwie Malmsteen, and I didn't. Of course, he was there at the Guitar Gods Festival. I saw him. I could tell immediately that he was an elemental.
Right.
Yngwie is an elemental being.
Sure.
So he's like a water or fire or wind. So he is more on that order of a natural force. And so things like social niceties are not they just don't work.
Or not required. Right.
It's not worth it. And so I could tell. Of course, I didn't know. I thought, is he a rock star? Is he someone I should know? He plays really well, but maybe he's the guitar tech. I don't know. And of course, only after meeting him did I look it all up and see, wow, he's really good, and he's really incredible. I get into it with fans about Yngwie a bit on the social media. Having now, of course, I'm in the industry and I do my best to be aware. So I have, you fall down a YouTube rabbit hole with these folks.
Right.
And my fans, I posted a video about Yngwie recently, and a fan said something like, "Oh, well, why, but he's not nice to people. He's not nice to people when they go up and talk to him." And my whole thing is, rock stars don't have to be nice. It's nice if they're nice. You should consider that a bonus. But a rock star at the level of someone like Yngwie Malmsteen, I mean, your first clue that he's not interested in social niceties is his guitar playing.
Sure.
I mean, just listen to it. This is not a casual person.
No, you're right about that.
And don't drag the gods down from Mount Olympus. Don't drag them down here with us.
Yes, I know. Well,
let them be heroic.
There was something I wanted to ask you. There was a moment in one of your videos, you're playing on the street somewhere, and you're bending a note up, right? You're in a dive, right? And you're bending it up. And I'm thinking to myself, is she going to get there? Is she going to get there? Is she going to get there? And you go, well, and it's like 15 seconds, right?
Right.
And you get there, and I say to myself, she got there. And at that moment, you said to the crowd, I think you said I got there. Right, I made it. Now, and that's perfect pitch. You knew where you needed to go. How do you develop that kind of ear?
Well, I don't really know. I suppose I had some kind of piano playing when I was a little girl, and so I knew a little bit about keys. That a song would be in a certain key signature.
Right.
Okay. So, for instance, the key of C major, and then you begin to know that the root note of that key, it has just a feeling of settledness to it. Of course, when you if you play a song, so for instance, if people have an instrument at home and they were to play a song on a radio, and then just count up the keys on a keyboard, you'll eventually find a note that feels the most settled, the most at home, and that's probably the key of the song. Now, if it's a very interesting song, so for instance, something by the Beatles or by jazz musicians or something, or progressive rock, it will probably change keys quite a bit. But your standard pop song or rock song will be rooted in a certain key. And you just know, I guess, you start to play in a certain scale, and I guess I knew that song was in A, and I was dive bombing up on the E string. And so I had to get up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps
yes.
to the A.
That would be 5.
And I knew that the gem guitar you're able to pull up pretty high. But what can happen is it's called fretting out. Here, I'll play it for you. What's called fretting out is when
you go the other way.
You hear that?
Yep.
Basically, you're pulling up on the whammy bar, and then the strings rub up against the neck, and they stop making a sound, and it squeals like a little mouse you stepped on his tail.
Did you? There is a rumor that you dated Frank Zappa. Can you confirm this rumor, or did that ever happen?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know, you're always supposed to say yes to every proposal, but I must hold by the truth. That is absolutely not true. Now, I was at a party, and he was at a party, and it might have been, yes, it was in California, and I did not know him.
Right.
Someone said he's a big deal.
Right.
And he was talking, and everyone was listening. And I knew in my mind, I didn't know a lot about how to be with musicians or artists. I wasn't a musician or an artist. I was just a lady, and I suppose one of my husbands maybe knew him, or a friend of a friend or something. And but I knew instinctively that I was in the presence of greatness. And so I said, Smith, keep your mouth shut and just listen.
And there's a weird connection, synchronicities in life because of Steve Vai and Frank Zappa, and later on Steve Vai enters your life. The synchronicities in the universe you can't ignore. Did you go back and think about that moment when you met Frank, and then you've met Steve Vai, and your life kind of came full circle?
Well, I did, and what was interesting is that I can't say that I sit around and listen to Frank Zappa music. I do appreciate it a great deal.
Right.
And Steve Vai has put out a very, very wonderful album that is all of his playing with some key Frank Zappa songs. It's a CD. And it's a good the difficulty with Mr. Zappa's oeuvre is that there's so much of it. And so that's in a way how being so prolific can backfire on you, because people don't really know how to approach you. They don't know where to kind of, jump into the game, because when you've got 500 albums, it's like, where do you even begin?
Right.
So that's a little bit of a danger of being quite so prolific as him. Buckethead is similar. Buckethead has hundreds of albums.
Right.
Where would you even begin? But I had listened to some Frank Zappa, and I liked it. I liked some of the comedy. Some of the comedy I didn't care for. I sensed a little bit of a hostile
New York
towards
angst.
women.
Yes, well, the New York angst was some of his things. Now, let me back up for a second. You mentioned Buckethead. And Buckethead is somebody that most music fans out there, they don't know who he is. But if you're a guitar player, Buckethead is truly special. I've met him. I've seen him play. Just an amazing talent. Is he somebody? Who do you listen to now? Is Buckethead somebody that you try to cop a lick from?
Buckethead has my absolute undying devotion.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Now, I do listen to some of his music, but it really was in seeing him live that transformed me. I saw him at the BB King's here in New York City.
Right.
And he had sold out the place, and I thought, this is good. I'm glad for Buckethead, because it's a full audience, and he'll do well tonight. And I didn't know what to expect. Now, to explain to those people who are not, of course, people often listen on their computer, so they can Google this as I'm describing it. You can Google Buckethead, and you see that he is a mysterious figure who wears a mask and a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket on his head.
That's right.
And nobody really knows who he is. A few people know who he is, but for many, many decades, nobody really knew who he was, and there was no internet to discover who he was.
Right.
And he played with Primus and Bootsy Collins, and then he did solo stuff. And then, quite in maybe one of the most bizarre turns ever in rock anything, is Guns N' Roses.
That's right. That's when I met
used him.
Yeah.
That's when you met him. And how did you meet him?
I worked for Guns N' Roses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, I worked with them. I didn't work for them. But not to get into the details, but back in the mid-'90s, when they were going through the transitions of musicians for the band, we were set up in a studio in Santa Monica writing songs for... I wasn't writing. I was just there supporting with gear and stuff like that, technical stuff. Anyway... how do I want to say this? They were going through changes as Chinese democracy was getting developed. And just one day, there were different guitar players that we were suggesting and bringing in and auditioning. I don't need to name all of that, but Buckethead was just like, that's it. Here it is. And that's...
And he was in the costume.
Yeah, I can't. I really, yes.
Okay, I see. Yes.
The answer is yes. You know what was weird? Should I even say this stuff? I'll tell you stuff off of the air. I'll tell you some Buckethead stories.
All right.
But now, so going back to this, when it...
Well, I saw Buckethead live, and it was...
This was at B.B. King's.
It was epic.
B.B. King's off of Times Square.
Yes, and he played with tracks, instrumental tracks, so he was playing guitar live. He had 2 EVH amplifiers, his Gibson guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen many shows, many rock and roll shows since I've been on this journey. I have not heard a tone like that ever. I have never heard better tone. It was like anvils were flying out of the amplifier. It was so... integrated. It was so solid. There was so much tone. It was like a lead pipe. It was an incredible sound. You felt it in your chest.
Right.
And then he had these amazing beats. And I think seeing Buckethead is more like seeing electronic dance music or going to see a DJ, because he's not really playing songs so much with like a melodic journey the way Steve Vai would, and he's not theatrical in the same way as some of those guys, but the music has a presence in the room. It's a very different kind of guitar hero. It made me very inspired, because my show has a lot of storytelling, and then I play and I do all kinds of different kinds of music, and so I was really inspired by him.
Is it true that Nigel Tufnell gave you a guitar after an encounter on an elevator, or a guitar amp, actually?
No.
Do you know who Nigel Tufnell is? See, this is the thing. When you become, a guitar guy, people are going to start stories, right? You must be dealing with this all the time.
I deal with this all the time, and it's deeply hurtful. And it's of course why I have several. Gosh, do I even say this? Yes, I'll say it. I've basically I hired away a bunch of kids from MIT and from some of the Google companies to design lawyer bots. These are AIs that are scouring the internet right now as I'm speaking,
right?
Hunting down comment threads, hunting down fake blog posts, hunting down lies, hunting down faked videos with my image and my name, to which I own the likeness and the copyright. Now, if somebody wishes to make a fan art of me, the bots will pass it by. But if someone is inventing stories, is inventing falsehoods,
right,
the bots not only identify it, they send me an email, and I just press a button on the email that says sue. And the bots can basically log on to any jurisdictional computer, the courts, and start filing clerk paperwork. They just start filing those lawsuits. Federal court, intellectual property, criminal court, civil court. They just start firing off little lawsuits. So I just... I don't say that as a threat. It's a reality of
takes the pressure off, though, because it would take up all of your time.
Oh, I don't have the time.
Yeah, totally. And now, I wanted to ask you this. What about, do you tune to 440 or are you hip to 432? Do you tune to 432? Have you messed with it?
I tuned to 440. Now, somebody put on Twitter, which frequency do you tune your instrument?
Right.
Liz has asked that. Liz Lang. Hi, Liz. She asked, is that what she's talking about?
She may be. I didn't see that tweet. But 432, and Liz is great. As you can see, you're watching Twitter. We have... our audience is all about UFOs and heavy metal music. I'm just letting you know right now. Okay. That's what we talk about here. And it's a great combination. 432 changes. Okay, if you look here in Twitter, you can see 440 versus 432 in cymatics. Do you see that from Tampa Rick? Okay, I'll retweet it so you can see it.
Okay.
And 432 is soothing and it's correct, and it's only it's only down 8 semitones. So if you think about it, okay, have you seen it? Can you see it there, Mrs. Smith?
Let me see one new tweet. Yes, yes, I'm looking at it. Interesting.
Yes. See,
water image. Yes.
Yeah. See, 440 is
a mess.
It's mean. So yeah, you should try 432, and it changes the electronics and the amps operate a little bit differently. The wood in your guitar behaves a little bit differently. The water in your body changes because you're 95% water, right? So if you're going to change to this frequency, then you change. So you should try it. Maybe
this is huge, and I'm gonna maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but idea for an invention would be headphones that would pitch shift
to 432. Yeah, the world
432
to 432. We could end angst in the world.
Well, I take all of this stuff very seriously. Of course, a guitar is made of wood, and wood is an incredible carrier of spirits. Anybody knows that who has a clue. Now, the guitar, my flower guitar, which I don't have with me right now, it's in Italy being worked on, but it had a demon in it from being in that closet for so long. No. And I brought it home with me, and the demon was sort of working for a while, but then it was not working.
And you mean like an entity, like some dark influence?
It was a dark entity, and it was down by the tone knob.
Ooh.
And the thing was, I never used the tone knob. Now, people who know the supernatural know that it's not like a horror movie. It's not like the windows blast open and you hear a booming voice like, it's often the supernatural. It's a little cold spot in a corner. And you think, what's that cold spot? And then a psychic comes over and said, it's a dead little girl. She died right there. She's saying, please help me.
Right.
There's snakes coming out of her eyes. And you go, okay.
Right.
So, but you don't know that on the surface. So this demon, it was in the tone knob, and it was just a damp spot. But I'd reach down to touch it, and it would be cold and damp, and then I'd be all cold, and I'd get distracted on stage. So I had a control daimon, put a benevolent control daimon, because I didn't want to remove the demon, because, I don't know. The people, the psychic said, the demon's at home. It's feeling at home. If you take it out, it could cause more trouble out here.
Right.
It could decide to live in your closet, and then the door's creaking open at night and you're seeing eyes. She's like, it's happy in there. Just leave it there, but let's put a controlled daimon in there to just take down the dampness. So when you touch the knob, you're not distracted on stage. So now I have a controlled daimon and a demon in my guitar.
And that, sometimes you don't want to mess with it. Right? You could actually, what if the guitar just suddenly stopped liking you?
Exactly, because overall the guitar was working, and then I thought the wood might change, the springs. There's electronics, as everyone who's listening knows. Entities often travel through wires. They travel through metal. The guitar has a lot of metal. I thought, I don't know how this demon is impacting the instrument. It's just a damp spot. Do I really need to cast it out? And then I'm responsible for what happens after.
And when, for you, as you were going through, we're going to hit a break here in a few minutes. When you're going through this and you're reacclimating yourself with the instrument and going through this, how was your spirituality side of things? Was that evolving too as well? Were you feeling more free?
Yes, it was like tuning. into 432 perhaps.
Right.
It was a feeling of, oh, this is why I'm here.
Right.
And at my age, it starts to feel like, wow, it took long enough, didn't it? I've done a lot of things that I'm quite happy with in my life. I've done some interesting things, some boring things. I mean, I've lived, but this was when I began to play on the sidewalk, especially because that was done without thought to result. It wasn't as if I gamed the whole. This is what is interesting to me. Is sometimes I do catch these little comments here and there. I try not to read the comments, but I catch these little comments of, oh, this person is just seeking attention and just trying to get famous and acting out. And when I went onto the sidewalk, nothing about it was gamed out. I didn't say, oh, I'm in a resort town on Cape Cod. How can I, get Instagram people to notice me?
Right.
I just started to play. And then I noticed, oh, people are holding up their phones. And then, but what was more important to me was not, oh, people will tweet this. What was more important was they're sitting on the stoop across from me and they're watching, and they're not guitar players. And they would say to me after, I don't even really like guitar playing, but there's something about when you play that I really enjoy listening. And I thought, well, I don't know why that is, because I just got this stupid little amp and it's battery operated and I'm playing to jam tracks off the internet, but I'm having fun. And it was when I realized this guitar music may not be on the radio anymore, but people still like it. And there was something about perhaps it coming from me that was different for them. I don't know what it was. Mm-hmm. But it was such a feeling of coming into community. And that was new for me.
Well, you see, this is the other thing, is that as an artist, it's something that you do for yourself. This is what you're doing. You are doing this for you. You're not doing it for the world. But when you go out on the sidewalk with a guitar and Mrs. Smith standing there, you're letting it all. It's all out there for the world. So obviously you're not doing it for that. This is about you, and that's got to make you feel great.
I just love the reactions. I love and when I'm performing anyway, I can't be stopped. I can't stop my body from responding to the sound. But there's something about the sidewalk, I think, because it's so open. There's so much space. It's not like on a stage where there's cables here and everywhere. But when you're out in a park or on the sidewalk, it's just so open and free. And then also, there's no contract. People come to see you in a play or come to see you perform. That's right. They've paid. But when you're on the sidewalk, they just encounter you as an event.
Right.
Unexpected event. And so there's a suspension of normalcy that is incredibly liberating. And so it's not something I do very much anymore, but I might do it again soon.
Well, I find it all very entertaining. I watch a lot of the sidewalk musician videos on YouTube, actually, and I find it to be some of the most honest and genuine. These are guys and gals that are not out there, like you said, to sell tickets. They are out there because it's music and it's done for the love of it and for the art of it. I think it's some of the most honest playing out there. I really do.
It's not easy, and what I'll say is it took me quite a while to get good at it. The first few times I was sweating bullets. Of course, it was summertime. I was near the ocean, and so it was very humid, and that would cause problems with the fretboard. And I would think, oh, the guitar isn't loud enough, or the music's too loud, and it took me a while to figure out the set list and the playlist, but once I really got into the groove, and then also just at first, you just have to get used to the fact that what you're doing is a little bit antisocial, because when you play in a club, people are agreeing to come to your show and pay money. They like you. That's why they're there. When you are playing on the sidewalk, even in a resort town where there are many buskers, they call it busking, many street performers, people have not chosen to come and see you. They are shopping, they're walking, they're lollygagging, they're getting ice cream. And then here's this shred guitar moment. And it wasn't as if I was performing easygoing music.
No.
it was doing Joe Satriani, and I was playing fast, and it's a little bit much, and so you have to have. It was good for building up a little bit of a thick skin. So when I went to perform at the NAMM show in LA, which is an expo where there's all these instruments and people are playing at booths, and people had said to me, "Oh, it's the worst performance experience of my life. People have panic attacks. They have meltdowns." When I started to play, I thought, this is nothing compared to the sidewalk. I said, this is nothing. The hostility that you get on the sidewalk. I mean, you become accustomed to people ignoring you or loving you or hating you, coming up and telling you to stop. It's late, the neighbors. And so it was wonderful training.
I can only imagine. Now, I can't believe I missed you at the NAMM show. I'm there every year. I'm doing the same. I've got to go hang out at a couple of booths with companies that I work with. And I've gone to NAMM since 1984. In fact, the Nashville, I've been to like 60 NAMM shows. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that an insane number of NAMM shows? Oh, my
gosh.
I know, right? And I'm not that old. So anyway, but I missed you last year. I can't wait to see. You're going to be at NAMM this year.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. If I go, I may have to go in a bubble just because I got so very ill after.
Well, I'll share. I'll split my security with you, and I'll make sure that you're safe and keep you in that bubble. Let's take a break right here. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the equipment that you're using. I do want to talk about Carvin and Ibanez and other stuff. We'll do all of that next. Tonight, it's Mrs. Smith. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi folks, what can I say without making claims? CBD is truly the buzzword for health. What does it do? Government institutions will not allow me to say what this wonderful oil does for us. But I can say it's non-GMO and organic. I can say it's 0.003 THC, which in plain English means you won't get high. There are those that want to squash your freedom to buy natural products. Fight back with your purchase power. In the end, it is you that takes care of your health. Go to ancientlifeoil.com. One more time, ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi.
Hi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Mrs. Smith, guitar goddess. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by New Mana. New Mana Emergency Food Storage. And every order over $100, when you order from New Mana and protect your family, peace of mind, you're going to get an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. It's really that simple. Go to the New Mana banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. Use that promo code Jimmy. It's very simple. Go and do it. Peace of mind. Now, Mrs. Smith. Before I do want to talk gear, and I'm going to let everybody know that at the top of the hour, I'm going to open up the phone lines so you can ask Mrs. Smith anything that you would like. So we'll do that at the top of the hour. But before we get there, philanthropist, socialite, that kind of lifestyle, big money, husbands that are into money, means secret societies. It means the New World Order. It means control, the Illuminati, craziness, the feds, the banking system, the Rothschilds. All of that comes into play. Did you experience any of that? Did you see anything firsthand?
This is an exclusive that I'm giving to you, Jimmy. I have never broken my silence about the Bohemian Grove, and I'm going to do it tonight. A lot of what you just talked about is very true. I have to say this. One of my fans on Instagram asked me, are they really reptilians? I'm going to stop short there and say, no, they're not reptilians. That is not what I observed. If people believe that, that's their right to believe. But that is not what I observed. Actually, what I observed was all too human. I observed human beings holding on to control and resources, mostly men holding on to control and resources. This is a very human trait. It's as old as human beings. And so, yes, I was married to 5 members of the Bohemian Grove, not in a row. It was sort of peppered through my life. And they don't tell you what they're doing. They don't tell you where they're going. It's a fishing trip with the boys. And what I didn't realize is I was actually kind of making stuff for this thing. I mean, I found myself sewing robe costumes. You know, he's like, we're going to put on a pageant. You know, and I'm like, okay. You know, and then I'm baking an owl-shaped pie, you know, and little owl cupcakes.
And you didn't know anything?
I had no idea, because when you're married to a man like that, it's like the mafia. They'll go into a room and you'll go to follow them and they'll close the door behind you. Right. And they take out the cigars and they start talking their power elite stuff and making deals. And you're expected as the little woman to not ask questions and don't intrude, and it's none of my business. Well, I made it my business. When I was brought by my the fifth husband that I had, who was a member of the Bohemian Grove, he brought me with him, but he put me in a Motel 6 just down the road. And he said, you stay in here, and, you know, I'm going to come back for that cake that you made, but you stay here and don't you move no matter what you hear or what happens. Well, then I start to hear this music and this intoning and the cremation of care.
Right.
And I said, and imagine how terrifying it is to hear this through the woods at night in a trashy Motel 6 by yourself with an owl cake. So I made my way there.
You left? The woods. Oh, no way.
And this is the thing, Alex Jones, he don't got nothing on me. Now, I didn't have a video camera, so I couldn't document this, but I believe that I was the first non-member to ever infiltrate the Bohemian Grove.
Before Alex Jones.
Before Alex Jones, because I looked at the timestamp on his video, and I thought, nope, this happened to me. It was in the 80s, and I crawled. It was in the 90s, late 90s. I crawled over a hill, and I was peeking up, and I saw the whole performance happening. The robes that I had made.
The robes that you made. How does that?
I had made.
How does that make you feel?
Creepy, because it's like Jimmy Carter is wearing a robe I made.
Right, you saw Jimmy Carter. I knew it.
Jimmy Carter is there. There's the president of Exxon. He's a pal of my husband. And what do they do? Why are they famous actors? And then my husband had taken the owl-shaped cupcakes, and I look over at a table. Bill Clinton is standing at the table with George Bush. Okay, George Bush Sr.
Right.
And Bill Clinton puts his finger in the frosting, tastes it, and makes like a horrible face, like it tasted so bad. And then he says to George Bush, like, "Oh, this is so horrible. You got to try this." George Bush tastes my frosting, and he makes this sourpuss face, and he mouths the word disgusting, and they walked away from the table. That is what these men will do.
The cupcakes, owls, and that symbology, did it follow you? In that, did you go back home? Did you see owls? Did you see the connection back into your personal life? I mean, was your husband, did he have owls in his office?
Yes. The symbols are everywhere. The secret handshakes, the skulls and bones. They've all gone to Yale. They've all gone to Harvard. They all know each other. And at the time, you don't realize the extent to which it controls what we're allowed to say and what we're allowed to think. The kinds of frosting that will be sold are decided at those meetings. I never saw that frosting ever again in the stores. It was gone after that weekend. Things like that. And you just know that there's this subtle control happening. Now we're breaking it because of the internet, because now people can independently speak out. They can listen to a podcast like this. We are not controlled by the corporate media. We can say whatever we want. Same with my pals over at Chapo Trap House. Some of your listeners might love Chapo Trap House. They're they're kind of Bernie type guys, but they have a really interesting perspective on how the left and the right look an awful lot alike in some ways. And so you can get to the truth now. And I think the fact that I myself personally don't agree with most of what Alex Jones does. I do think he's a fabulous entertainer. I do think he's very entertaining. I don't agree. Again, it's everyone's right to believe what they like. A lot of what he says is not for me. However, I think that video is very hard to argue with, and also the fact that it happened to me.
It was. It could. It wasn't what you saw.
Yes.
Really.
The whole thing. I mean, it's unfolding, and people say, oh, were they like sacrificing children? No, they weren't sacrificing children. The worst thing that was happening is that it was really, really, really bad theater. It was just bad. It was a pretentious kind of pomp and circumstance, invented by these tacky guys. And when you know them all, you're going like, honey, you can't pull off that line. I mean, I think my husband was holding a torch and he had a shield or something. I don't even know what part he was playing. And I just looked and thought, this is just sad that they feel the need to call this kind of pretentiousness to themselves. It shows perhaps that they in fact have no power.
What about like Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise? Did you see that, the Stanley Kubrick film?
I haven't seen that. I know what you mean when you bring that up. I did not see any licentiousness there.
Right.
I didn't see licentiousness there. I saw ego on display. I saw that these guys, to me, it was, I mean, it's also a thing. People also need to understand that there's a kind of grandiose tackiness that goes with very, very wealthy people. I can't quite describe it, but they do like to send themselves up in a sense, because then it makes it seem like they have a point of view on themselves.
Of course.
So it's like, Buffy and I got an old beat up truck and went, riding around and picked these wild flowers. Like, look at us. We're like normal people. They have that sense to themselves. And so there was something about this. It was like, is this performance ironic? Are they being, is it a parody? Is this, it was confusing.
Let's change gear. I'm looking. I could stay on this subject for hours, but we have so much.
One final thing is, I also got wrapped up in the Build-A-Bear group, and one of my guys was big in the Build-A-Bear group, and I was making tea for them. And I really thought it was like, a cigar club or something.
Right.
And it turns out I was making tea, for a strategy session for the Power Elite.
Now, see, this is what I find really bizarre. Not only with Bohemian Grove, but the Bilderbergs and a big chunk of Manhattan. I think Manhattan has more billionaires living in it than any other city in the world, which is a crazy thing to think about. What goes with that? World politics, decision making, agendas, hidden agendas. That's what they do. And when you go and get close to something like the Bilderberg Group, knowing that those are decisions that dictate the world, it's not us, it's not free will, it's being done by just a few select individuals.
I think what is more deleterious is not so much the strategizing, because the world does have to be organized, and there are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that we don't know about, whether it's supernatural, whether it's extraterrestrial, whether it's just what's going on with nuclear weapons. Is someone going to get their hands on it? How do we stop that? So I do think there are a lot of good people in government and people who do want to do the right thing. I think the more deleterious thing is Noam Chomsky has talked about this, which is that ideology is enforced not so much with you cannot say that in a 1984 type way. It's not that there's a censor who's stamping out what you can't say. It's just that their assumptions are so hardwired by their education about how the world is and what is possible in the world and what it's possible to change that it doesn't even occur to them to think of something different. And that is where we are now.
It's so fascinating for me to hear you say Noam Chomsky or Jung or Nietzsche and also the other side of things when it comes to Bohemian Grove. Certainly, you've been exposed and you have knowledge in some of these areas that I don't think other people on the Upper East Side are concerned with.
No. Or if they are, they're keeping it a secret. It is absolutely stultifying. And to those who think, well, if only I had $1 million, all my problems will be solved. Well, you know what? If you're there, living in a little apartment or a trailer or something, and you've got some pals and you're able to barbecue and listen to your heavy metal music on a Friday night and have some laughs.
Right.
You might be a lot better off than the people with millions of dollars in these apartments who are suffocating under this social system that they live within, wherein you cannot think certain things. You cannot say certain things. You are not free. There is a frame of what is normal and sane inside the New York Times, the Atlantic, the New Yorker, all of these publications, NPR, all these publications, even the ones that are, are liberal. And so you think, oh, well, they're going to be thinking outside the box or be open-minded. Well, they're open-minded within a very narrow frame when you start to journey outside those boxes.
Well, what do you do? It looks like we're going to talk gear in a little bit. I don't know if we're going to get to. What do you do for news? And the reason why I ask, because here you have New York City with all of the networks there. It's the center of like the known universe. What do you do when you need that knowledge? Where do you go for news? Because everything is fake these days, right?
Well, I think everything isn't fake, and I think the feeling that everything is fake is a big problem, because we are real people and there is truth. And I think when people spend a lot of time on their internet, it's very easy to think that everything is fake. And that concerns me a great deal, because suffering is real. People are hurting. The suffering is very real that's going on out there, whether it's people suffering from poverty or addiction, or just people feeling very frustrated, feeling that their dreams will not be realized, that there's no path to realize their dreams or even to have satisfaction. America is a hyper-competitive, individualistic place. And that's very real. And for me, news, I do read the New York Times. I think I listen to more NPR than I should. Like I said, Chapo Trap House, CHAPO, Trap House, is a podcast that saves me on a weekly basis, because these boys put things into perspective for me, because there are things that I hear and I go, well, geez, really, is that all there is to thinking about this issue? And then they'll bring up an alternative mode. So I do really love those boys, and they're quite funny. They're very Twitter-ish. So and they're very much in the world of politics and media on Twitter. So sometimes you have to catch up with the lingo. But they're millennials too, and so they've got a fresh energy, and I really adore them. What else do I consume? I do spend time on Twitter, and I find it interesting. I'm getting more and more into Twitter. I've found that Facebook is over. I think Facebook is over, and I think it's about Instagram for images and video, and Twitter for news and opinions.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe way to go. Plus, you can select what you want to research or find out about, and it's not in your face.
Yes.
Very safe way to go. Let's change gear. I need to talk some gear. I want to talk. Well, let's start with the guitars. Ibanez, you have a relationship now. You just got your new Ibanez guitar, which is
yes.
great. Would you be playing Ibanez if it wasn't in that closet in Norway?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I have picked up other kinds of guitars, and some of them I have liked. I do not care for a certain type of Les Paul guitar. Mm-hmm. They're far too big for me and too heavy. The Stratocasters, I don't mind a Stratocaster. I don't mind them. The pickups are a little thin for the style of music that I play, and so I do. I think it is. A lot of it is that I just adapted to this instrument that I fell into, but upon reflection, I realized that the style of guitar that I do play, it is like a Ferrari. You've got to play it fast, and I love to play it fast. I think that's what people find perhaps paradoxical about me. Oh, here's this prim and proper lady, but whoa, look at her. She's shredding on this guitar, because I love it. I love that wildness, that exuberance. I don't want to play slow. I want to go fast. I want it to be exciting. I want wild noises. I want that hard rock sound. It gives me life. So Ibanez is great for that. And they make really terrific guitars, and they do listen to the artists, and they're adapting quite a bit. So they have all of their classic shredder guitars, which I have. The one that they sent me is an RG. It's quite nice, a Prestige. And then they put a custom graphic on it. And then I have my Gem. And I think next I'm interested in their AZ series. I don't know if that stands for Arizona, but it's like a Stratocaster, a little bit of a different body shape, but they're quite beautiful, and a lot of people I see are playing them, and so I think that's what's next for me.
I'm looking it up now. Oh yeah, that's a nice guitar.
Yes, they're getting really good reviews, and I do want that single coil on the neck sound.
Yeah, that's what I do. I kind of gotten away from the double humbucker thing. I like that single coil on the neck. So all of my guitars, everyone, I'm looking around here now. Yeah, I would say everything is either 3 single coils or humbucker single. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking to confirm. Yeah, pretty much that is my world. Yeah, these are nice looking guitars though. The relationship with Carvin. Now I have to say, the product demonstration that you did for the pedal was a great interview and was also very revealing. But do you know what the knobs are? Do you care, or are you like me where you just twist and you listen?
I twist and listen, and I find that often you don't have to twist them very far, and it shouldn't have many knobs. If it has a lot of knobs, it's not designed properly. That's what I've learned. And I was speaking about this with I'm endorsed by Mesobarba Custom Amplification. So they give me full tube amplifiers. That Carvin is a very lovely little pedal that's like a little mini amp.
Mm-hmm.
And I do still have that. And but what I was speaking about this with Pierangelo, and I was saying I somehow don't trust an amp with lots of knobs, and I don't know why. And he said it's because the amp designer has not made a decision about what they stand for. And they haven't decided how the amp sounds. You're tweaking the knobs in order to make it balance with your pickups and with the room.
That makes sense.
And your pickups. But the amp should have a personality that the amp designer has chosen. An amp that's going to try to be a tube amplifier, that's going to try to be everything to everyone, will be good at none of them.
No, what I do, this is my habit. And it's not about me, it's about you, Mrs. Smith. But I put everything at 5, right? And turn it up. And then, it's about your fingers. It's about the guitar. It's about the sound. There's things. But then you find that you only have to move those knobs just a little bit.
Yes, you're controlling the bass. You don't want it too muddy. You're having the middle tone because you want to cut through.
Mm-hmm.
You might want a little more edge with the treble because you want some squeals. Or you might want it to be a little softer sounding. And then the gain is depending upon your pickups. And then you might have pedals in front of the amp. And a lot of this I'm still learning about. Pierangelo is quite adamant about the tube screamer. The classic tube screamers especially have some special relationship with what's going on inside the amplifier. And so I got very curious about that, and I'm interested to explore sort of backing off the gain on the amplifier for rhythm sections and then punching it for the lead sections with the pedal.
What pedals do you use?
I have very bland pedal taste, so people might think this is really boring, but I have 2 Boss digital delays, and one of them is set to be a short delay that's on all the time.
Right.
And they put through the effects loop, and the other is a longer delay that I use for like a dreamy effect.
Right.
And then I will sometimes use a super chorus, sometimes an MXR phaser.
Right.
I will use a whammy pedal in front of the amplifier. And then I have one of the most fun toys that I always feel like I never have enough time to explore it, is this Eventide H9 harmonizer.
Wow.
Which is like every effect inside of it, but it's a little pedal.
Right.
And you program it with your computer. And then people have sent me other pedals and given me things that I have to, try and play with. It's just so hard to find the time. But I don't believe in changing the sound of the guitar very much.
So when you say rage, where does as far as tone goes, where do you go for your rage? Is it from the amp?
Yes. Well, and the wah-wah. I'm very big on the wah-wah.
Right. Well, you didn't mention that.
You really can get a lot of screaming from that. You can really push the pickups over the edge and push the amp over the edge with the really squealing with that. And so it is that gain from the amplifier. Now, the pickups I'd had originally were quite hot on my gem. They were very loud. And I learned from playing live that they were too loud because when you turn up, it just breaks apart, is how I felt it, that my tone was falling apart. And so I changed them to be a little less loud. And then the ones in this new guitar are a little bit in the middle. Like they're kind of in the middle. And so I haven't quite decided exactly what I want that guitar to sound like. So it's always a work in progress, but the pickups I do not believe should be too loud.
No, you're absolutely right there. It's really funny. They just got hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, and everybody forgot what a pickup was actually supposed to sound like.
It's easier to play.
It's supposed to be
What happens is...
Well, we got to take a break right here. I'm up against a network break. Is that okay, Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, let me do that. Our guest tonight, Mrs. Smith. And then when we come back, I'm going to open up the phone line, so get ready for that. This is Fade to Black. Stay with me.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
What can I say about the most popular tea on the internet? And what do customers say about Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? A lot. But by federal law, we at GetTheTea.com cannot make claims to how this product can enhance your health. We cannot even post our testimonies without being in compliance. So how do we get past the hump? Try our products at GetTheTea.com and see for yourself. You can send us a testimony, but we just can't post it. Bummer. Our products are GMO-free and organic. We pride ourselves in being the best we can be, and we urge you to take charge of your health. We're 11 years strong, and many of our customers have shared their successes with friends and family. Protect your colon. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Mrs. Smith, guitar goddess. I want to remind everybody, my next event will be the Soul Tech Gathering up at ECETI Ranch. You can go to soultechgathering.com for tickets and info. And I want to let everybody know there are just 37 weekend passes left. And if you go to Soul Tech Gathering, there are 50 single-day passes available. Single-day passes. And you can go and check that out. Those are $111 each. On Friday, the focus is on sound healing. We're going to have a ceremony. Saturday, we're going to have panel discussions all day long, so that's a good night for that. And a good day. We're going to be doing sky watching every night for our ET friends. And Sunday is we're going to have the closing ceremony and party too as well. So go to soultechgathering.com. Tickets are very limited, and we'll see everybody up there next month. So excited about that, up at ECETI Ranch. And now, let me get back to Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith, I have an email that just came in, and let me get back to it. It says, my husband Bruce met you at NAMM. He wants to know if your cat Carlisle comes to you in your dreams.
Oh, constantly. And I don't believe they're dreams. I believe they're astral conference calls, basically. I mean, I will wake up and I can feel when I'm leaving my body in an astral sense. So I know, because it feels like there's the weight is behind me, and then whoosh, I'm standing up and I'm like a little ghost, but I'm not dead. And then I'll put my legs over the side of the bed and I'll look over, and he'll be just sitting there, licking one of his paws, and he'll look up at me going, hey kid, how's it going? And I go, it's going great. Where are you? And he said, set that aside for now. I've got to drop some wisdom on you. And then he'll give me a little advice about, like, don't put your EP out in May. And I'll say, but wait, I'm ready to put it out. I'm ready to finish it. He said, you're not ready to finish it. It's going to take all summer to record these songs. I said, no, I think I can do it in one weekend. And he'll look at me and say, you're headed for a heartbreak, lady. Put it out in September and give yourself some time. So he gives me business advice.
That's amazing. Does he know you? I know that you just recently mentioned on your YouTube channel that you've got 5 songs in the can, or is it just
Yes.
5 songs written?
No, there are 5 songs that have they're almost all completely recorded. So we are just doing all the little trimmings, putting the bass parts, EQing the drums. I think I have a solo from Lisa X, who's a brilliant prodigy, a very sweet girl from Japan. And I think almost got everything done, but there's always, you start to get into the mix and you want to tweak that, and you just have to stop at a certain point.
Tomorrow I'm going to head over to a studio. A friend of mine is in town from Sweden, death metal guy, that's producing a band, and Possessed from San Francisco. And I'm going to go tomorrow and hang out, and they're finishing up vocals and stuff. But it's always about, you're never happy, right? You're always tweaking. There's always something left to do. How do you know when you're done?
This was very hard for me, and I think this is such an important skill for artists, or perhaps anyone, but it's very, very new for me. But you just have to let great enough be great enough.
That's right.
That perfect will never come.
Nope.
And that, it really is the enemy of getting things out there. And especially nowadays, I hate to say this, but there are not a lot of monumental creations anymore. And it's more about being in the stream of things that are happening weekly, daily in the stream.
Right.
And at the level that I'm at, without a record deal, without a manager, without a PR team, doing a lot of this myself and with my friends and with, people who I do bring on to collaborate, it's a first EP. It just has to be great enough. And it's really about, it's time. It is about 9 months late. You know, it was really something I should have put out immediately after NAMM. But it took the time it took. But now is not the time just to hold on to it for another 6 months.
No, you just have to go, okay, enough is enough. That's
and
it.
I'm sure that at some point I will connect with people who, you know, I'm engineering a lot of the music in my computer, and I have interns who help me and people who help me. But a lot of times I'm just poking around and making little drum parts and playing around, and I don't really know what I'm doing. And I just have to assume that, you know, producers will arrive, people will come in who can help shape it in a more, you know, very, very professional way. But for now, this is the music that this person is making.
You know, you may just have to, if you do that, and there's many talented producers out there, you have to walk away. You got to give it to them and then walk away. You can't, it's not like cooking, right? You can't suggest things. You just have to let it go and accept what they're going to do when it comes back. Are you ready for that? It's kind of heavy.
I don't think I think I'm ready for songwriting collaboration.
Oh,
I think I'm ready for collabs. I think I'm ready to, you know, I'd love to work with someone in hip hop or electronic music. I'd love to work with just people in different genres and put our heads together and come up with something.
Let's go to the phones. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'll let you handle. You're gonna. You know what? I'll let you. Okay, here we go. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Take it away, Mrs. Smith.
Hello, caller. You're live with Mrs. Smith.
Hi, Mrs. Smith. I've been in the music business for a long time, and I've never heard about you. I just found out about you today, and you're amazing. I have to ask, are you... This isn't an act. You're the real deal. You're a real lady that really went through all of this, and you really are this good of a guitar. Amazing. Yes. Absolutely amazing.
I'd love
to collaborate with you sometime.
There you go.
What's your name, kitten? What is your name?
My name is Joey, last name Palazzo.
Joey Palazzo. Thank you so much for that. And again, when I discovered Mrs. Smith, I did the same thing that you did, Joe. I went in and I listened to everything and just thought, where have I been all these years? You know, here we have Mrs. Smith. Joe, thank you for the phone call.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Let's keep it going. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Take it away, Mrs. Smith. This is great.
Caller, you're live.
Hey, how you going? It's Jim from South Australia, man.
How are you, Jim? Say hi to Mrs. Smith.
Hey, Mrs. Smith, great show.
Thanks, Jim. What's going on down under, babe?
Oh, it's a beautiful day down here. It's winter, it's cool, but it's the sun's shining.
Right on, Jim. Do you have a question for Mrs. Smith?
Yeah, man, I just wondered, what do you think about guitar technology these days? The likes of, let's say, Stevie McKay's Line 6 Variax Shuriken, or like the Plasma pedal that was the big light at NAMM last year. What do you think about that stuff? Or do you think it's cheaty, or?
Well, I'm skeptical about digital amplifiers. To me, they sound like the idea of a guitar. It's like a conception, the abstraction of a guitar, a rock guitar.
Right.
It sounds a little bit like when you go to a Broadway play and the symphony, they have a guitar in there and they go meow, and it's supposed to be like dangerous.
Right.
So that's what I think when I hear those digital things. Now, Randy Wilcox is the guitar player in my band, and he does use a Variax to great effect because he is changing genres all over the place. You know, in the live show we have now, we do a Taylor Swift song, then we do an ABBA song, but it's heavy metal, but then it's disco, then it's jazz, and so he's flipping through all these sounds. I sing, and then I'll come in with some guitar, rock guitar, and some soloing, but I don't really do much switching of my sound. It's almost like I come in and I add, you know, but I think for that type of a gig, or like a cover band where you're having to shift tone, or maybe a multi-genre band, I think maybe those digital things could be really helpful. But for me, and I was speaking about this with Pierangelo Mezzabarba, I think for me it's very important the Mesobarba amplifier is very important to my artistic identity because it does have a very robust and kind of I would say it has a masculine energy to it, which I think balances with my personality. And to me, I just don't know that I have to play a tube amplifier.
What's really funny about that is I have one of those Fender amps here, right? I've got a Fender modeling amp, and I have the tube stuff. I do. I like to play around. You know what I mean? I'm just constantly, because you've got 8,500,000 effects, right? You've got all of these different things, and it kind of pulls you into getting creative and maybe playing a way that you wouldn't normally play. When you do just the single or two-channel tube amp, which, I have, you're kind of restricted in that. Then when I record, I just play one tone, right?
There you go. I could see that. Jim, what were you saying about the Mesobarbas?
Oh, Jim is gone. I've got
Bye, Jim.
Okay, sorry about that, Jim. But yeah, I'm a modeling. I like the modeling stuff. I like the Line 6 stuff, and I just like to experiment. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, it's Deb from Sacramento.
Hi, Deb. Say hi to Mrs.
Deb.
Smith.
Hi, Mrs. Smith. So nice to have you on the show, and your guitar playing is quite amazing.
Thank you, Deb. How are you tonight in Sacramento?
Very good. Hey, I do have a question. In your exposure to Bohemian Grove and the Bilderberg Group over the years and all of that time, did you ever hear that Donald Trump was involved in any of those meetings?
Well, Trump was always around because, of course, I was have spent a lot of my time in New York City. Now, I've also have had homes in Los Angeles and vacation homes and summer homes and things like that, and little pied-à-terres and things. But he's always, he was a tabloid figure, and he was not someone that anyone here took seriously as a member of the power elite. I mean, he was not really of that world of, the Harvard, the Yale, the Ivy, the kind of, whether they're of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or whatever they dress themselves up as, that kind of insider type, He was never of that type, and so I never saw him around there. He was always in the tabloids. We underestimated him.
Well, and big money comes, no matter what, you can say drain the swamp all you would like, or whatever, that you're different, but you still have the big money. So with that, you're hanging with all of those other types. I wanted to go back to the Mesobarba before I go back to the phones. That's a good-looking head. Which model do you use?
Now, I have here with me the Skill amplifier, which is the 30-watt amplifier, because I'm playing through a 1x12 here. It has to be quieter here in my studio, and it's good for practicing. This 30-watt Skill is also fabulous for gigging if you put it through a 4x12. So a lot of times the venues will have a 4x12. And if it's a Marshall or a Mark V or an Orange, whatever it is, the Mesobarba sounds fantastic. It's so full. Now, when I was in Italy, and often when I go to LA, I will leave this here, and the Mesobarba folks have their amplifiers. And then I will play the 100-watt M0. And that's what I played at NAMM. And it is absolutely epic sounding. It was my guitar player Randy. He said, it sounds like what people want their modded Marshall to sound like.
These are good looking amplifiers.
It really is that brown sound, that Edward Van Halen, very full, very clear. The saturation never gets rid of the tone. So it really is a very present, full sound. They are aggressive.
Have you met Eddie?
I've never met Edward. That is an absolute dream. Of course, I don't think he would ever want to meet me. I do not think he would.
He's a cool guy. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Faded Black. Say hi to Mrs. Smith. Who's calling?
Hello, Mrs. Smith. This is the occult priestess, Jimmy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's so good to hear your voice live in person.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
I did have a question.
Sure.
So I'm sitting here, and I want to say your guest is very sexy. Can I say that on air?
You just
Occult priestess?
Yes.
You just did. Okay, so there you go.
All right, great. So I'm really into the rock stars, too. I channel as well. And Jimmy, I tell you, Jimi Hendrix came through, and he said, hey, man, what about my watchtower? I got a question.
Okay.
So she was among the watchtower, businessmen. They drink my wine. Plowmen, they dig my earth. None were level on the mind. Nobody up to his word. So in that environment, do you feel that now you are more polarized, service to self or service to others? Thank you so much.
Thank you, occult priestess.
Thank you, occult priestess. Is she asking me that question? Or
yes.
Jimmy channeled that.
Which Jimmy? But you see,
Jimi Hendrix.
I know that.
Yes. So are you asking me about am I more polarized, service to self or others?
Yes, please.
Yes. So I will argue for, again, I'm going to go back to my Jungian thinking, the transcendent function. The transcendent
You're beyond
function,
morality.
Well, no, the transcendent function, I believe, is that the fusion of two so-called opposites. And so I think there is a way to do both.
Is my question.
What's that?
How does that present itself morally in your life, in your choices, in your decisions?
It is be kind to others, think of others, support other people's expression, lift up and elevate. It does not mean give myself away.
There you go.
Right, that's a form of self-love, so that's great.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, occult priestess.
Thank you.
I love the show, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. And see, I tweeted out, and that's a really, really good point. I tweeted out yesterday. I was in one of those moods. And our community is always, our community, which is about consciousness and not only service to self and others, but dealing with the problems on this planet, and we're trying to figure out not only how to use discernment correctly, and then we have disclosure on so many different fronts. This community is always rolling that rock uphill, if you know what I mean. And yes,
well, and I think the priestess will know this. That I think it's so important to have that mama bear inside you, and mama bear will care for her cubs. And she'll bring them in. She'll go and find them, bring them back, keep them close. But she will also, when the wolf comes, stand up tall. And there are times when I have had to stand up tall, especially in the music business. There have been times when promoters or other personalities in this world have done things that I have not liked. And it's no more Mrs. Naismith. Now, that does not mean that I have to reach into that person and harm them. It does not mean that we have to seek revenge. And this is where often I think men need help pulling that back, the aggressive side. But what I can do is say, there is a boundary here now, and it will not be crossed. It may be possible to still engage with that person with that boundary in place, or it may be necessary to turn away.
Well, and this is what I said yesterday, and I don't want to pull up the tweet, but the tweet was basically, I was in that mood where, you know what, it's hard, Mrs. Smith, to do the right thing. It's hard. That's hard work. It's easy to do the wrong thing. And every day we are confronted with that question, right? Do you want to do right or wrong? And it's much better to just be nice, be cool, have fun, say hello to people, go out and seek some knowledge, and have fun. That's how you should live every single day. Don't be mean, right? Don't do the wrong thing. It's just not. And when you get to the end of the day, you feel good. And
what's difficult is when others do wrong to us.
Well, and so what do? You can't be mean back. You can't do wrong back. You know, right? You just can't live. Lead by example, and that's what I do here. That's oh man, I was just in one of those moods, and I had to tweet that out. Let's go back to the phones. Take it away, Mrs. Smith.
Caller, you're on the air.
Mrs. Smith, hello. My name is Karen. I'm from Seattle.
Hi, Karen.
Hello. I've so enjoyed your discussion here with us, Fadernauts, this evening. Thank you for being on. Something that you said early on in the conversation was about as you were learning, you would be in, whatever it is you were trying to learn. Like you said, you were being in F. And then you give us a little riff on F there and, the whole thing. And that really struck me as a fellow artist type. When do you know that you have a deep enough understanding where you can move on to the next thing? So like you master F and you understand where, F is in the chords and in dissonance and, all that F can do for the tone. And then you understand that enough, and then you can move on to the next thing. When does that happen for you?
Well, it happens in kind of a staggering thing because you also have to rotate your practicing or it will be very monotonous. So maybe that you're working on F and then also working on C and you kind of go back and forth. I tend to flit back and forth between things. And so things are kind of being constructed all over the place at the same time. And I think, I don't think we ever master these things. I think we get better and we keep practicing. It's like when they say, I practice yoga. It's like, it doesn't mean I master it. I'm practicing. I'm always practicing. Even the yoga master is always practicing. I think when you feel you get a sound that is musical to you, that sounds like music, and I talk about this with some of my guitar students, the difference between practicing and making music and the difference between merely just executing notes or playing notes and when it snaps into focus as music. It doesn't mean it needs to be a whole song, but somehow in the way you strum that chord, now it's not just practice. Now, that's the beginning of something. Is there something else that goes with this? And it's the same with visual art, perhaps. I notice this, I call it when things transition into thingness. So, for instance, an artist might take everyday objects and smash them up and glue them onto a canvas. Well, if I were to do that, because I don't know that form of art, it would probably just look like stuff on a canvas. You'd just be like, well, there's a bottle, and there's a bottle cap, and there's a piece of dust, and there's whatever. But there's something about what the artist does where it becomes more than the sum of the parts. And it becomes art. And I don't know when that happens exactly or how you make that happen other than just keep making things.
And Karen, thank you. Do you have anything else, Karen?
No, that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so
Karen.
much.
I don't know if that answered the question. But
well, it did. Yeah, it did for me too. And thank you for the phone call. The moment I want to ask you, for me, the moment where I get to the point where, and have gotten to the point where, some lead guitar lick, and it just opens up your mind but you have to get to that point. In other words, I'm seriously suggesting, 6 hours of practice, right? 8 hours of practice, and you get to the end of that 8 hours, and all of a sudden you go into a zone that you never went to before, and then everything starts to make sense, and you get that clarity.
There's also a thing for me, which is generating a deadline. And so often with art making, there's procrastination, and because it's fear of failure or whatever. And so people will say like, oh, well, like, how do you write a new song, or how do you get ideas to write a new song? And my answer often is like, I book the gig. I book a gig and I say, I'm going to premiere a new song at this gig. Well, the gig is 2 weeks away. That's enough time for me to write and record a song if I'm focused. This is how my mind works. Or I'm going to put out an EP, and I just say that to the world. It's like, I've got this song and this song and this song. I need 2 more. Okay, well, I've got to finish those songs. And also, the record button is fabulous. So, for instance, you could, if you were a poet or if you were a musician, you press record on your voice memo, and you just start to play. It doesn't have to be a fancy computer program like Logic, which is what I use, but you just press record, and to me, there's something about, okay, now do it. Stop practicing. Stop procrastinating. Now is the time. It's the same thing with an audience. They're watching me. Now all practice ends, all hypotheticals end, all half-played notes end. Everything is committed to because the moment is now.
Right.
And so sometimes generating those now moments, whether it's a artificial deadline or a record button, can help to focus the mind to stop like, oh, I'm going to get up and make a sandwich, or, oh, I'm going to check Twitter.
Right. No, see, that's the thing. And you're absolutely right about that. You can sit there and noodle and practice, play the part, and not go anywhere. The second you hit record, that red light goes on, then you play it right.
Magic happens. And what happens is I will often be recording a demo, and I'll say, I'm just going to lay down an idea for what the solo will be here. And then, I can't do it again. I don't know what I did. And then I'm sort of stuck with that guitar sound.
You got to keep it.
Right? You got to keep it.
You got to keep it. We've got time for one last quick phone call. Take it away, Mrs. Smith.
You're a caller. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live.
Hello.
Hey, this is Adam Milan from Missouri, 2 hours south of St. Louis. I had my first UFO experience. I had one fly over my yard at 3:10 in the morning. I was outside walking laps because it's summer and it's hot.
Right.
I'm an Eagle Scout. I've spent a lot of time in community service, helping others and spreading the positive vibes out to all corners of the world, just trying to keep positive. Miss Smith, hello. You're a phenomenal guitarist.
Adam, so when did this sighting happen, kitten?
It happened June 23rd. And I've been listening to Jimmy Church ever since, because when I had my experience, I realized that I had to connect with some people that had some kind of exposure. And then the very next episode I watched or listened to with Jimmy Church was some guys from Washington State talking about Mount Adams, and I looked it up, and I actually saw a photograph of a similar object that I seen fly through the sky. So this whole Jimmy Church, the KGRA network, Fade to Black is just like, you guys have drawn me. I found you guys because you guys are where all of this information is going and funneling.
Yeah, thank you for that, Adam. And you're right about that. So many people go out there, they have some kind of life-changing thing like that, and they jump on the net. They right there at the top is going to be, this show and other researchers, and you come in here, you're able to come out of the closet, so to speak. You're listening to other people share their experiences. They're similar to yours, and you're now part of the family. So welcome, Adam, and thank you for that.
It's incredible. I'm glad you guys took my call. Miss Smith, when you said Stratocasters, you didn't mind. That's awesome, because that's basically what I have, a couple Fenders, and I play Stratocasters, and I love it. I've been playing for 10 years. I haven't produced anything or recorded a lot. I just jam. One reason why I picked up the guitar, my parents were going through a divorce, and I wanted something to make me feel better. And I always knew that if I practiced enough, that would take away some of the pain and some of the emotional, like a distraction, just keep me into a more positive direction.
That's why we love the guitar.
Yeah, Adam, thank you so much, man, and don't be a stranger.
Take care of yourself,
Jimmy
Adam.
Church. You guys rock. Miss Smith. Have a wonderful life. God bless both of you.
Thank you, Adam. And Mrs. Smith, see, isn't that great? That's what my dream was, always to reach out to the world with the things that I love. I even told you that, right? For me, it's about conspiracy, UFOs, food, music, guitar. And if I just did those things every single night that interest me, that I would find those millions of people out there that are just like, and you know what? And there you go. You get that phone call from Adam, and it just lets you know that we're all together on this.
Well, I think you're very fortunate, and you've stuck by your passions, and you've lit them like a torch, and it's drawn, like-minded people to you into a very beautiful community. I can tell just from the Twitter comments and from the calls. And it's so important that we connect with other people. I think yes, as you have said, there's so much going on, and there's so much changing about our world every day, the technology and the political things and all the things that are happening. But we've got to connect with other people, because my fear is that we're being driven apart and we'll begin to objectify each other and dehumanize each other. So we must connect with other human beings, whether it's with music or with conversation like this. And if I can conclude with one final topic with you.
Sure.
Which is a campaign that I will be launching, and a life mission that I have, which is to valorize and to lift up and elevate and shine a light of appreciation on hobbyist musicians, on musicians who gig, and artists who perform while also having a day job, on people who never want to be a professional musician, who just play as a passion. And I'll focus it on the guitar to say, you don't have to pick up a guitar to become a rock star. You don't have to pick up a guitar to get 10,000 followers and get sponsored by Ibanez. You don't have to pick up a guitar to record an album or even to write your own music. You can pick up an instrument and enjoy learning to play and having these milestones. I got that C chord. I could hear all the notes that time.
Right.
I was able to get from C to G to C to G to D. And you can find people to play music with. And we're now in a time where everyone feels they must be a star, and it puts a great deal of pressure on people. And what I'm saying is, let's return music to satisfaction and a passion that anyone can enjoy.
I want to say really quick before I ask you next where you're playing. There is a video of you playing. I think it's in the Village, and you do Voodoo Child. Now, it's not the Voodoo Child. It's the solo that you do after that. And I'm right with you on that. You are on the tightrope. Now, was that completely improvised, and how liberating was that?
Well, that section of that piece I had worked on during the summer, but it was always different every time I played it. And it's a thing that I picked up from Jimmy, of playing along with my singing voice, because I can get my voice up high like the guitar, and then I split my voice off from the melody, and it becomes a kind of an eerie harmony.
Right.
And it's incredibly liberating. There's always a part in every show where I just say, you can play whatever you want, because I do see myself more like a player such as Jimi Hendrix than like a virtuoso style shredder. And when I say that, I don't say that to mean that I am like Jimi Hendrix, or I'm not comparing myself with him, but in the sense of being a little more attuned to spirit and abandon than precision. Shredders tend to be more attached to precision,
right? And
it can get to be a kind of a cold execution, actually. And so I think I have a bit more of that bluesy style in me that wants to just dig into the emotion. And when I'm playing, I'm completely lost in emotion.
Yeah, I can, because when and that's a long video. I mean, it's like 11 or 12 minutes long. And there are moments in there where I'm sucked right in. I'm sharing the emotions that you're going through there. And it's an unbelievably cool video. You definitely get into the moment. And I want to let you know, I saw it, I felt it, I was right there with you.
Thank you so much.
I mean, that's hard to do. That's a really hard thing to do. And the other thing, I was listening. If you listen really close, I don't know if you've gone back and watched that video. It's somebody shooting it on a cell phone, but listening to what some of the what are the words I want to? Some of the words that people are using at the moment. Where they're right there, and they are feeling the emotion that you are sharing right there, and it's really, really cool to get that feedback from everybody else. Because I was saying to myself, it's not just me; everybody else is in the moment.
Well, there was something happening that summer when I was doing that. I don't know what it was, but there was a feeling when I was doing it on Cape Cod and Provincetown, and people said it in the East Village as well. Provincetown has become very expensive. Mm-hmm. New York City has become very expensive. The things that attracted people to a place like the West Village or the East Village are largely gone. So that bohemian exuberant spirit, that spirit of a feeling of being out of control, what I see is very much these days is a very normalized population. It is actually quite obedient. They say that they're, expressing themselves and expressing their truest self. But what I see are quite a lot of people who are all the same. It's a homogenizing. And this is true also, I think, in guitar. I think the guitar is not as wild as it used to be. And so I think because there is a kind of feeling of it being out of control, that it seems maybe new again. But really, it's not new.
No, and you're absolutely. I mean, that it couldn't be said any better. There is a generation, right behind us, that hasn't experienced a band, right, or what it's like for a band to go into. There are kids today putting bands together, or creating music that have no idea what it's like to go into a studio with a drummer, a bass player, a guitar player, and a keyboard player, and play the songs live. Right? They don't. Yes. They don't get that. So where are you playing live? What have you got going on?
Well, every Friday night, I am in New York City at the McKittrick Hotel. I'm part of a show called Barshland Follies, which is put on by Suzanne Barsh, who is a fabulous nightlife legend. Back in the day here, she brought Lee Bowery. Joey Arias is in the show. And she also... she used to date Jimmy Page, and I guess she still has his phone number, so I got to work on that.
Right.
But so we have a wild show, and it's got so many different kinds of people. There's burlesque people, and there's singers, and there's all kinds of people. And then I get up and I do my Cat Jam song, and it's great fun. So I do that every Friday night in New York City at the McKittrick Hotel. A show starts at 11. And then next shows, I'll be shooting for folks in New York City. We'll be shooting a music video in August at the Cutting Room for one of the songs on my album, and then I believe I'll be having a CD release party. But I'm sort of taking a break from live shows because it's a bit much to do those shows with the band and do all the management and logistics and the learning the songs and finish this album. Because not only am I finishing this album, I'm also making 2 music videos. But what I forgot to say is I'm going to be in LA. You're in LA.
Yes, Burbank.
So in LA, I'll be at Feedback Fest. I'll be hosting Feedback Fest, and that is August 18th. And that's a fabulous bill with a band called Well Hung Heart. They're this great blues band, and they've put this really great festival together of people who just have a unique take on rock and roll and blues, and people like me. And then that's the 18th in August. And after the fact, we have maybe a lead on a venue for a solo show for me. So if I'm there, I hope you'll come, Jimmy, to the show. Of course, you'd be my guest, and I'll do my whole one-person show there in L.A.
That is at the Wayfarer, August 18th.
That's right, the Wayfarer. Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be a great show. I would love to go and check that out. And let me just say, I told you we were going to run out of time. We didn't even...
I didn't believe you.
I know. And we didn't talk about Gucci. We didn't talk shoes. I didn't get a chance to talk fashion. We didn't even bring up strings. We didn't do any of that. We didn't talk about UFOs. We didn't talk about ghosts. Right? And I told you we'd still run out of time. So which means we've got to invite you back. There's so much more to talk about. And it was just an amazing conversation tonight. Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith.
I would love that. And thank you so very much, Jimmy. And thank you to all your listeners. I can tell you've got a real special community here. It's terrific.
Thank you so much. Now go practice, get that album done, and when it's ready, certainly we'll have you back on the show, and we'll see you in, let me see here, 4 short weeks right here in Los Angeles. Thank you so much.
Bye, kitten. Bye.
And be safe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith, everybody. Now, her website is worldofsmith.com. It's right there, worldofsmith.com, over at jimmychurchradio.com. Click on the links. All of the information is there. And also her YouTube channel. You've got to go and check that out, too, as well. Mrs. Smith, Guitar Goddess. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Amazing conversation. Take a little break. I'll be right back and take some more of your phone calls. Stay with me.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Teppy. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at naturesyouth.com. naturesyouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Want to thank Mrs. Smith. That was everything. That was a great conversation. And I knew we would run out of time, and we did just that. We had so many things that I wanted to make sure that I got in, and I got none of it. I wanted to talk about that Gucci commercial and working with Gucci and how cool that was. I didn't get a chance. I wanted to talk to her about Adele. I didn't get Adele in. I don't know if you guys went to her YouTube channel. There are so many videos there, but one of them is the Adele video, Hello, which was absolutely amazing. So anyway, there were so many things. I didn't even ask about strings and shoes and fashion. I wanted to do all of that. So I can't wait to get Mrs. Smith back on. And she's going to be out here in Los Angeles next month on the 18th, too, as well. So if you're going to be here for Feedback Fest and you're here in Los Angeles, go and check that out. I know that that weekend is a strange weekend for me, but I've got to squeeze that in. Somehow I got to pull that off. I've got time for one more phone call before I've got to say goodnight. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, my name's Ryan O'Neill from Hamilton, Ohio.
Hi, Ryan.
How are you, Jimmy?
I'm doing good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have a story, an interesting story. I know you said this is the last call you're taking for the night.
Okay, so what's on?
It's about the Great Awakening and the Blue Kachina.
Oh, okay. I'll hand that straight off to you.
So I'm an amateur cryptographer. I have high functioning autism, and I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was born and raised. Right now I live in Hamilton, Ohio, and which is right outside Cincinnati. And recently, I just got awakened to a bunch of things. How I had all these special synchronicities with Mr. Tompkins, and some of the same things, like with the loud noises that he discussed,
right,
have happened to me. And then I've also found that our family is connected. Like, I think my grandpa served with him, and my questions are just as great as everyone else's. I've just been on a journey to find my family again, and I keep finding out all these amazing things on the way.
Like what? Share one.
My mom's a twin, born right outside Black Mesa, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
My grandpa served on the USS Missouri.
Oh, that's interesting.
For a number of years through World War II. I think Mr. Tompkins has a connection with the Brillmeyers, which I'm of relation to. And there are a lot more synchronicities that happen. A lot are personal, from things that was said in interviews that only I would know or pick up on. Like what street my grandfather lived on was Wilshire in Mount Washington, Ohio. And how the crop circle just happened in Wilshire, England, as well as Mr. Tompkins saying Wilshire by name in that last interview with Jordan Sather.
Right.
These are little things that, and how my gift woke up, and I can do wonderful things like sacred geometry and other interesting things. And my Twitter and my story, I'm gifted at art and cryptography, and it's all on @Zoni3, ZOHNI3, on Twitter.
Okay.
And it's just, I tell my story through pictures and song, because that's, once I was able to treat the inflammation in my brain to lessen the autism, I'm able to communicate again. And I'm able to do all these wonderful things I haven't been able to do since I was a child. And I just had to put it out there and start telling people.
Well, thank you for that, Ryan. And what you should do, you shouldn't do anything, but what I would suggest
right.
is hanging out with this wonderful family of ours here, the Fadernauts, and just post and tweet out there and start to interact. Also, you should go over to On Stellar and share your story over there too as well. And post articles.
On Stellar?
Yeah, On Stellar. The links are right there at jimmychurchradio.com or right here in Twitter. And that's an extension of our community here with the Fadernauts, because you will, I can assure you, you're going to share your story and somebody's going to reach out to you and go, hey, dude, I'm right there with you. And then you get to talk and communicate and share ideas and knowledge. And that's the best part of this family.
I know, and I think it all goes back, to the legend of the leprechaun, because my last name is O'Neill.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, who knows? If I'm lucky enough, it could go back to Ulster. And all these things, these amazing things, Jimmy, that I'm way too humble to ever think or believe is possible. I've had a really hard life, and you're right. Like I did reach out. I have been in Project, Carrie from Project Camelot did reach out to me this morning, but she said, she was at Awake and Aware in the UK. And so I just told her the same thing, like, look at my Twitter at your convenience. I know you're on holiday, but if it resonates with you, and I'd like to talk to you about a couple things, and that's what I've been doing. So I appreciate you taking my call and listening to me and letting me have a voice.
Thank you so much, man, and welcome to the family. And again, jump into Twitter, hashtag F2B, and get all of that out there. And the Fadernauts are here, man. It's a great family. It's a great place.
Thank you so much. And I'll go follow you right now. I've been kind of hesitant to how much I put my voice out there, but now...
Well, it's too late.
I've done it. I know, I've done it. Like, there's no looking back. The only way I've moved forward is just look at the future and you don't focus on the past, because you can't do anything about it,
Yeah, that's one of the, I say this all the time, Ryan. I got to go because I have to roll credits, but thank you for the phone call. And I will say this, if there was, if all of us had access to a time machine and we would go back, would you actually change the past? I don't think so. We always have to move forward. But it's and especially when we think about some of the things that have gone down in the past week here in our community, a time machine would be pretty useful. But we don't have access to that, at least not directly. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Emery Smith here talking about just that. We're going to talk about time travel and portals and what technology is out there being used today. It would have been nice to have one last week. And in the meantime, I want to thank Mrs. Smith for an amazing, amazing show tonight. That was just something that I really needed to do, was just kick back and talk a little music and spirituality, and we got all of that in. Fade to Black's executive producers Rita Camurian. Show is produced by Hill J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster Drew the Geek. Music Doug Aldrich. Intro Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Emery Smith. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I want to thank Mrs. Smith for coming in tonight. And you can follow her at SmithCatMrs on Twitter. Until tomorrow night, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.